So, you're on the autism spectrum and you're sick of your constant anxiety and sensory issues, and they're making you feel like utter crap. If that's the case, then you clicked on the correct video. I'm about to show you how you might be able to blast most of that pain away simply by taking care of your gut health. Yep, that's right. Hi, my name's Michael and I have Asperger's. So just a quick disclaimer guys, everything I say in this video should not be taken as medical advice and is only said to spread knowledge based on what I've learned based on my own research. This video is about to get quite technical, so if you want to skip all of that and get to the summary, then go ahead and click the timestamp I provided in the description below. Alright, enough chit chat, let's dive right in. So, in addition to your anxiety and sensory issues, you probably also experience bowel problems like constipation and diarrhea. Maybe you feel brain foggy or down or having the blues after eating certain foods. Or maybe you're even diagnosed with some kind of digestive disorder. You see, this is actually really common with people on the autism spectrum. Now here's where it gets interesting. The one thing these digestive conditions have in common is a change in your gut microbiome. The microbes that naturally live in your intestines. You see, this change in the gut microbiome is called a gut dysbiosis. What happens with a dysbiosis is you end up with less variety of bacterial species in your gut. The thing is, people on the autism spectrum tend to also have gut dysbiosis. You might be thinking, okay, cool, but how on earth would taking care of my gut bacteria possibly help with my anxiety and sensory issues, let alone social skills? Good question. Let's explore further. Studies on mice have shown that changing their gut microbiome changes their actual behavior. This could be because of something called the gut-brain axis, which involves a long nerve that connects your brain to your gut, called the vagus nerve. Imagine it's sort of like a highway, and the nerve impulses moving along it are like cars. So there's a road that goes from your brain to your gut, and another road that goes from your gut to your brain. The cool thing is that 80% of the cars on this highway move up towards your brain. So that means the information flow, it's going to your brain, like literally most of it. The other 20%, the information is going to your gut. So perhaps it's reasonable to think that whatever happens in your gut may affect how you feel. Well, there are other studies suggesting that gut bacteria may affect how you feel by regulating the amount of chemical messengers called neurotransmitters in certain parts of your brain. Your nerve cells, or the more scientific term neurons, use these to talk to one another. Who would have thought the gut played such a role? But wait, there's more. People on the spectrum tend to have lower levels of GABA in their brains. Bear with me. GABA is what's known as an inhibitory neurotransmitter, meaning it reduces nerve firing. It's a bit like cancelling signals that are trying to move to the next neuron. It's well known that low GABA levels are associated very strongly with being in an anxious state of mind. So people with ASD may feel more anxious than other people, at least because of not having enough GABA. Do you remember when I mentioned earlier how gut bacteria may affect how you feel? Well, here's a study that looked into how these little microbes actually do it. Okay, 36 mice were split into two groups. One group were fed a regular diet. The other group ate a diet that included a strain of bacteria called Lactobacillus rhamnosus. And no, that's not some Harry Potter spell. So what they also did was they cut the vagus nerve for half of the mice in each group. This process is called a vagotomy. They did this to see later on if the vagus nerve played any role, if there were any behavioral changes in the mice. And what they found literally blew my mind. The group fed the regular diet didn't experience any changes at all. But something happened in the group given the bacterium. The mice that had their vagus nerves intact were less anxious and less depressed. But the mice that had their vagus nerves cut did not experience any behavioral changes. This can only mean that whatever that bacterium was doing, it had to involve sending signals up to the brain via that vagus nerve in order to reduce the anxiety. Now let's hold on for a minute. Isn't that just fascinating? The thing is, those mice were less anxious not because they had more GABA in their brain, that neurotransmitter I was talking about earlier, by the way. They felt better because somehow GABA receptors, which are molecules that attach to GABA molecules, those receptors changed how sensitive they became to GABA molecules in different parts of the brain. Right, let's just recap quickly. So everything I've spoken about so far suggests that maybe if someone on autism spectrum changed their gut microbiome, it would improve their mood and maybe even social behavior. I wonder if that's actually happened. Ah yes, it has. There was a study where 18 kids with ASD were given the antibiotic vancomycin for about 2 weeks, and then a fecal transplant daily for 8 weeks. Yep, that's exactly what you think it is. What they did was they took fecal matter, or poop, from adults without ASD, and they gave it to the kids in a capsule form. At the end of the study, their autism difficulties improved a little bit, and their digestive symptoms improved by about 80%. Hang on, what's that? A little improvement in autism difficulties isn't good enough for you? Yeah, I agree. So get ready for this. 2 years later, after the study finished, their autism difficulties continue to go down by an astonishing 45%. And that's without taking anything for 2 years. Now I know what you might be thinking. Michael, where can I get those fecal transplants? Well, there's an easier option, which involves taking probiotics, adding and removing certain foods, and maybe a few other things. I'll discuss this in far more depth in one of my future videos. Anyway, that's the gut microbiome for you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, feedback, or any ideas for future videos, I would love to know personally. Enjoy the rest of your day. Please hit the like button below, subscribe, and stay updated for future videos where I go into the science and just show you what I'm doing myself to overcome the difficulties that come with having Asperger's.